collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Starscream from the Transformers Studio series from Hasbro, of course based on his appearance in Transformers 1, and I can't believe we're getting Starscream before Elite 1's properly released. I don't know what they're doing at this point, but packaging pretty standard here for the Studio series. Got the plastic windows back, got some nice artwork of the robot mode and the vehicle mode here on the front. Close-up and I guess reversed image of that robot mode there on the side. Over here on this side, the package, just kind of the picture extends onto the side of the package there. Not really anything going on the bottom. On the top just says Transformers 1 Starscream. And then on the back here we have a still from the movie and some product shots of the robot mode and vehicle mode. Looks alright. Let's go ahead and get out of the box and we'll take a closer look. So here is Starscream out of the packaging. And I'm going to preface this by just saying I've seen a lot of people online hate on this guy. I don't get it. I think he's kind of awesome. I mean, I think the robot mode looks fantastic. He really doesn't have a ton of kibble. Like, yes, he does have the backpack, but it's compressed nicely. The wings look good. They even found a way to put these red pieces here to kind of give him that, like, classic look of the red pauldrons there while still kind of keeping the head free and, you know, having no problem with articulation. The legs are clean. They even put these little pieces here to kind of cover up some of the empty of the back leg, which is needed for transformation. He's got nice solid heels, so he's not going anywhere. He's got the little null rays here, which I think look good. He also comes with these other pieces. So this is just like the tip of the back wing or fin in the vehicle mode, but they tell you that you can hold it as a gun. Which, I mean, I guess you can. It looks a little silly. And then this is just another gun that gets mounted as part of the vehicle mode, but they say you can hold this as a accessory as well. Which you can. Again, I think they look a little silly, but you certainly can. Even though that this is like a thin rectangular peg, it still will fit in the hand. The other thing you can do is kind of put these together to make like a combo. So you can slide this in this little spot right here. And I think that looks cooler. Like, if I was going to have him actually use these as a gun, I think I would do this because I think that's better than the two on their own. But honestly, I don't need any of these pieces. To me, he's got the shoulder-mounted null rays, and I'm happy with that. But yeah, I think it's a really cool-looking robot mode. I think it looks great. Head sculpt's cool. Little simplistic, but you got the red eyes there. Nice silver paint for the face. Like I said, you got the kind of pauldrons here in the back, kind of completing that look. A lot of head movement, like there's a ball joint here. You can look up, you can look down, side to side, no problem. You can even tilt side to side, so a pretty good range of motion there. Ball joint in the shoulder, you can go out to the side. You can spin it around. Now, of course, it's going to hit into the wings, but you can move the wings around a little bit. If you really wanted to kind of tuck them back so you could get a little bit more range of motion out of the arm, you could definitely do so. Still a little tight. But I kind of like to put them at like a 45-degree angle. If you wanted them straight out, you could do that. So there's kind of a pin there, as you can see. And then there's kind of a ball joint here. So you have a lot of range of motion with the wings, which I appreciate. I think that's kind of cool. Again, ball joint here. Shoulder pad can move up and down so as not to get in the way. Now, you might think that the bicep cut is right there. It's actually here. So you can see this is where the mushroom peg is. So it's going to move where the gray meets the tan. Even though it looks like it should move up here, it's not there. And then you have a little bit over 90. Quite a decent little amount over 90 there in the elbow. Nothing in the wrist. That's one solid piece, so there's no movement in the wrist, but you have some nice gunmetal gray paint there. I don't think he's got anything in the waist because I will admit this whole section, like, I think it looks great. Paint's good. The little canopy there looks nice. Good paint, but it's a little difficult during transformation. You'll see what I mean, but it also doesn't give him anything in the waist. But he's got good range of motion in the hip. I mean, he can kick really far forward, pretty far back, start to hit into the backpack a little bit, but not too bad. Kick out to the side, got a thigh swivel there, little hollow, not too bad, not too much. Really good range of motion because of how he transforms in the knee there. He does not have ankle tilt though, which I was surprised about, and I keep looking at it like maybe I missed it somehow, but because of the way he transforms, he doesn't have ankle tilt. But they've kind of done this thing where they kind of put the feet at like a bevel, so he naturally stands like he has ankle tilt, so you don't really miss it, because they were able to do that with the feet, so you can see it's not a problem. So that's cool. I think he looks good, honestly. especially if you're just putting this guy on a shelf in robot mode. I think he looks great. I really like this a lot. Like, I think the design is really cool. And if you want to store these weapons here on the back, you can. They just pop on, because this is basically where it's going to go, but swiveled around in the vehicle mode. But you could store them on the back if you wish. Yeah, I think it's a cool robot mode. I think he looks great. Good articulation, nice paint, color scheme's good, head sculpt's good. He's good. All right, getting into the transformation. I would have to imagine this is where most people probably have problems, because it's a very interesting transformation. I don't think it's bad by any means, but it's probably more intricate than you would expect and very kind of interesting. So we're going to start off by taking the wings. You're going to swivel them around on the ball joint. So just kind of bring them out to the side and swivel them around, because they will eventually go like this. You can see that the red pauldron pieces are kind of pegged into this backpack, so you're going to kind of unpeg these and they slide down a little bit. You can see that there's kind of like this piece here where there's a swivel here, and then these swivel here on this piece. You're going to bring this back, and then we're going to kind of pop open this chest area. So this can get pretty interesting how this works. So we're going to take the head, we're going to detach that, because you can see it detaches right there, and you can kind of get that up out of the way. So then you're going to bring the longer fuselage pieces out. This has to come around, but you have to kind of, it almost feels like you have to force it a little bit just because of the hard angles. So you can see how it gets a little weird, but you have to get it past that. Then you have to bring this part down, because this part is going to extend out a little bit. So it kind of tucks in there, and this is going to probably come off on you. It happens. But you can easily pop it back on. So there we go. So I think that's why people, because you have to kind of tuck this part underneath so that this sits perfectly for the robot mode, and then this all goes up like that. So when you bring it back down, then you have to kind of unhook, this piece has to fold out, and then you can bring this up, and then you can bring this all down, and then that kind of forms the proper part of the fuselage in the cockpit. And then you're going to kind of, you can see here that these little tabs on the side are going to tab in. So this comes up, tabs in. This whole thing now can come up and pop on. The head will go back, and then you're going to fold this down. Now, what I will say, the directions don't really tell you this unless I just read them wrong. Eventually, you're going to have to spin these pieces around, and you can see that there's a notch on the side, and that is for this notch down here. But they tell you to close this up now, and then when you try to move this later, it's going to be a problem. So you can either spin these around now while this is open, or we can come back and open this later, which is what I'm going to do, because luckily it's not a problem. Once we do the rest of the transformation, you can still open this pretty easily. But I'm just going to leave it like this now. I'll show you what I mean later. So next we're going to come down to the legs. We're going to flip open these little panels here. Like so. We are going to, and you want to kind of get the wings and the arms out of the way as much as you can. These are going to come around. You can see that there is a tab here on the back of the upper hip. And then that's going to tab into there. So this is going to fold down like this. And you'll hear that snap in. Do the same thing with this one. It's going to snap in. I might not have it lined up properly. There we go. And then you're going to push the legs together. So after you snap the hips into the back of the legs, then they'll connect right there. At this point, you're going to bring up these thruster pieces, and you can see these little square peg holes here are going to peg in right there and right there. So this is going to come up and pop on. And sometimes it can be a little difficult getting these to line up and go where they're supposed to. There we go. Okay, so that one's in. This is going to come up. That one's in. Then these are going to come up, and you can see that there's a tab here and a little slot right there. So these are just going to come up and pop on there, and then you can just close up the feet. Like that. So that's the back. At this point, you're going to bring the arms down, and you can kind of see the little tabs on the side of the hinge piece. that is where these tabs on the inside of the forearm are going to sit. It's just kind of a loose tab. It's not super tight or anything. It's just kind of like for guidance. But I thought that was kind of neat because you wouldn't expect it to tab onto the side of the hinge piece, but it does, and it works pretty well. So those are going to tab on there. So this part mystified me because when you look at these shoulder pads, it doesn't look like they move or open up at all, but they actually do. These will actually fold forward on a hinge that to me is so well hidden, I could not even tell it was there. It's so nicely integrated into the way the shoulder pad is molded. But you're going to pop these like this, leave the guns how they are. You're going to take this gun and you're going to pop it on to, I have to remember how this goes. I think it's this piece right there. So this has to go like this. So you can see there's like a little notch right there. So this is going to pop on to here. Then you're going to swivel these inward underneath, and then they will peg together, but also then they'll both be pushing onto this blue piece here. So let me bring this around, and sometimes this can be a little difficult. You want to kind of bring them in at the same time. There we go. So then that tucks in there, and now you have 3 guns here mounted underneath. I just thought that was really cool. I really like the way that all works. It's really neat. Okay, now we're going to get to the part I was talking about earlier, where you have to move these pieces, but like everything's kind of in the way. So you can still luckily open up this piece here without really messing anything else up. I swear you can. Come on. So open this. This will give you the room to move this piece around like this. So on this spinner here, this is going to come around. And then when you close this up now, those notches will line up. And then you just kind of tuck these as close as you can to that. Then you're going to bring the wing in. You're going to unfold the outer part of the wing. And this is going to kind of tuck underneath. So you can kind of see there's a tab right there. That's going to sit in here. And then this is going to tab into the side. So you just kind of bring this up underneath like that. And then pop this on. And that will tab in. Fold out the part of the wing. Bring this underneath. Bring it under. Tab that in. And tab it onto that. And then you're just going to take this piece and pop it on the top. And there is Starscream in vehicle mode. So like I said, it's a pretty intricate transformation, probably more than you would think just looking at it. And I could definitely understand how parts of it could be frustrating for people, but I think it's pretty ingenious the way everything comes together, and it stays together pretty well. I love the way the shoulder pads opened up and flipped underneath like this to kind of hold all 3 of these guns. That's just kind of ingenious to me. Because I'm looking at the instructions thinking, they're telling me the shoulder pad's open, it looks like a solid piece, and then lo and behold, there's like a hidden joint in there. It was really neatly done. So I had fun with it. I thought the transformation was cool. I think the jet you're left with looks good. It doesn't have, it's kind of that Tetra jet look, but it doesn't have so much kibble underneath like the ones from the Bumblebee movie did, where they kind of hung all the way down here. Like, I'm fine with the legs and the arms kind of tucking under here. Now, granted, it does almost kind of look like this part is a jet, and then like this underneath here is kind of hanging. But you've got the thrusters integrated, you've got the guns here, and it's not as long and bulbous, I guess I'll say, as the ones from the Bumblebee movie. I kind of like it. I do. I think the paint scheme looks great. You have all the gunmetal gray accent panel lines and stuff. All the red here. The cockpit's painted nicely. The blue on the wings is a nice little pop of color. Plus you have some blue over here and underneath. I mean, yeah, I wish they could have hid the hands a little bit here on the back. But I gotta be honest. I think it's cool. I like it. I think Starscream's a lot of fun. Honestly, I really like the robot mode. I think the head sculpt's good. The paint applications are nice. The color scheme's good. You got just enough blue to pop against the kind of tan and red. I like how kind of clean the robot mode looks. You know, the legs have those little panels over the back so it doesn't look too empty. You know, he does have a bit of a backpack, but I feel like it's compressed up and pretty clean. You can move the wings around a little bit so it doesn't really get in the way of shoulder articulation, anything like that. And even though he doesn't have ankle tilt, they kind of naturally put, you know, that little bit of a slant to the feet so that he stands nice and can do a great pose. I really like the robot mode. Transformation, you know, definitely more intricate than I expected it to be, but it's kind of ingenious in spots, and I had a lot of fun with it. Like, once you kind of figure out how the torso and, like, canopy section works, it's very easy to go back and forth. I thought I was going to have trouble, you know, getting that piece to stay up and click in, but once you figure out the physics and exactly the way it goes, it's really not hard. It's nice. It works well. It compresses up really nicely for the robot mode. I think the transformation's a lot of fun. Vehicle mode, I think, looks great. You know, I love the way it has all those guns in the front. Again, the color scheme's nice. The paint apps on the wings and everything look really good. I think this guy's fun. He might take a little bit of your time just to really get the rhythm to it. But once you do, I think it's a really great figure, and I'm really excited to see if we'll get anything else from Transformers 1. Now, unfortunately, we know they're not doing a sequel, which I think is a shame. Elita 1... still in the wings. I think some people have started to see it at stores, so I'm hoping to find her soon because I want to get the Core 4. Can't believe that still hasn't happened yet. But also, I wouldn't mind like a Soundwave, maybe even a Shockwave. You know, let's keep it going a little bit longer. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I definitely recommend this one. I think it's a lot of fun. Like I said, might take a little finesse, might take a little bit of patience, but I think you'll get there. And it's a really good figure when you get the hang of it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.